Hello and welcome to the ECE 5010 Software Design Final Project presentation. My name is Robert Stairs and I'll be presenting this project Budget Tracker on behalf of myself and my partner Taha Madi. And upon launching our application, the user is brought to the home page, and the purpose of Budget Tracker is to allow the user to put in very little effort, maybe the same as a paper journal, and get much more useful pre-populated data using their added transactions and allow them to be able to better manage their budget. So if I were to go ahead and add some expenses, that's probably the first thing a user would do. Say debt, credit cards, we'll call it $200 and MC for MasterCard. We see this window populate itself. It's a pie chart of the current month's categorical spending. So we see in this current month of April, we have $200 spent in the recent transactions window here, which lists our 10 most recent transactions, negative $200 because it was an expenditure. We actually see that the left to spend in our budget is set to negative $200. And if I were to go ahead and specify a monthly budget of 1,000, we can see that we have $800 left to spend given our $200 expenditure this month. And the budget bar down here shows about 4/5 full, and the blue represents what's left to spend of our monthly budget. So I'm going to go ahead and add a few transactions for this month under the different categories and subcategories to show the pie chart when it's fully populated. And one thing to note, I'm going to go ahead and add an expense from a different month. So let's say pets, food, $30, $40, call it pet food, and I'm going to set it to the month of January. One thing to note is we can see that animation occur again, but the values don't actually update, and we don't see a category in the pie chart for pet, and that's because the pie chart is specifically for the month of April, the current month of the user's PC, and the category is not added unless it's in the same month of the current month. We also see that the budget has remained unchanged by this $40 transaction. I'm going to go ahead and add some income transactions, say wages, paycheck, and I'm going to return to the current month of April, current day 9th. So wages, paycheck, let's say $1,000. Call it Greco. We add an income and we see once again the animation occurs, but the values are unchanged, and that's because this tracks only the spending of the current month. And the same goes for the budget bar, which has remained the same after our $1,000 paycheck from Greco, since we're only looking at the expenditure, not the income. So now if I were to go to the expenses page, we can see the category of all of the expenses we've made. So that's debt, education, health, pets, and the total expenditure throughout the year of all of our expenses summed up. And we can also see for each subcategory within the categories what our purchases were. So we can see subcategory tuition, category of education. Within April, we had a $300 transaction, and the total throughout the year for the tuition subcategory is 300. And down here in pets, where we made our transaction in January, we can see $40 within January, and our total throughout the year for pet food is $40. The income page is set up the same way. Here we see subcategory of wages. In the category income, we had a $1,000 paycheck in April. Moving on to the transactions page, the user is shown a comprehensive list of all of their transactions, which is more expansive than this 10 item list here on the home page, where they're shown the title, type, category, subcategory, value, and date, as well as the option to delete the transaction, which I will show later. The user also has the option to search for a transaction within the search field, as there could be hundreds or even thousands. So if I go ahead and search course B, it'll pop up here for me. If I go back, we're showing all transactions. So if I were to delete the course B transaction, which was $100 in tuition on April 9th, I'll go ahead and delete that. If I return to the home page, we'll see that it's missing from here. We don't see a course B. And the budget has actually sprung up by $100. We have, let's see, 200, 400, and then 500. This is not within the month of April, so we have $500 left to spend within the month of April's budget. So that's it for the transactions page. And then if we move to the summary page, this is where the user is able to see some comprehensive graphs of their annual spending. The top graph is a line chart of their spending for each month, actually their expenditure and their income being the light yellow and expense the dark orange. And we have the dollar amount as the y-axis and the month in which the expense or income occurred as the x. So here we can see this little divot right here, this little mark. We can see that's our $20 expense in January, where we bought our pet food, or maybe it was $40. $40 of pet food in January. And then up here, we have $1,000 of income, which matches our $1,000 paycheck within April. And we see our expenses for April total $500, which fits our recent transactions here. And if we go to the next chart, this is annual categorical spending. We can see all of the categories within which we've made transactions throughout the year, and the y-axis being the dollar amount, the category being the x-axis. Wages is an income category, so we can see that there's been $0 in expenses within that category, and all of the other ones we've made transactions in have been debt, education, health, and pets. And we can see that we made $200 in debt, $200 in education, $100 in health, and around $40 in pets. That was our January transaction. And by adding transactions throughout the year and throughout the month, the user can track their expenditure using the following features, which allows for much more functionality than a paper journal while maintaining about the same amount of user effort required. And a great feature of this project actually is if I were to go ahead and close the application and go ahead and reopen it, even though I didn't click any save button or have any user input for saving data, I can see that all of my data is pre-populated in the app, and this is because we're using an SQL embedded database file within the project, which is actually created on first startup. And so the user downloads the program, and they have to do nothing on their part to make sure that their data gets saved. And if they want to delete their transactions, they can do them all from this page. Turn home, see that all of their transactions are gone, and the charts are empty. Expenses and income all read $0. Their monthly budget is still $1,000. If they wanted to reset it, say to 0, and then close the application and reopen. We'll see that all of those categories in expenses and income have gone away. Our transactions are unpopulated, and so are the graphs themselves. And the monthly budget is still 0, and everything is back to a clean slate. Thank you for your time and attention, and have a good day.